let's just start first. What does Emancipation Day mean to you in your heart?
Personally, it means to me a day of celebration, a day of reflection, and a day of honoring my own ancestors. I'm originally from the island of Jamaica. I came from a background of enslavement. So it's a personal event for me because so many of my ancestors were enslaved, and through their own efforts, they gained their freedom. Collectively, we honor the people, those ancestors and their descendants who fought for us all to have this freedom today. So it's both a personal reflection and a collective reflection.
And would you like to see an apology by the federal government?
I definitely would like to see an apology by the federal government. Enslavement of Africans did happen in Canada after the act was passed, the Abolition Act was passed, and people gained their legal freedom, but they did not gain social equality. What you had after emancipation, the act was passed, was a sort of reinscription of the old order, except that Black people were no longer in chains. So after emancipation, you had the color bar, you had segregation, you had Jim Crow-like living conditions that Black people endured. The apology has never happened, and on this 188th anniversary, I think it's high time that the federal government of Canada apologize to the Black people of Canada for the enslavement that happened to their ancestors, not just the enslavement, but the racial discrimination and the segregation that followed the abolition of slavery.
I think a lot of people would probably be surprised to learn that the last segregated school in Canada, which was in Nova Scotia, closed in 1983. 1983.
Absolutely. That's just, yesterday, one
really
could say.
is.
So think of the impact of that. So with these segregated spaces came the lack of economic opportunities, the lack of social advancement, because oftentimes many of these schools, though they were spaces of empowerment for Black children and the Black community as a whole, oftentimes they lacked vital resources that were needed to push the children further. And sometimes those children, because of racial segregation, because of anti-Black racism, couldn't even make it to high school. And we know that education for marginalized people, in fact, education for everybody is the key to social and economic advancement. And Black people in this country over the course of several centuries, 2 centuries of enslavement, have been denied these opportunities. And so it's high time we have this apology. We know that apology has been made to several ethnic groups in Canada, across Canada, for the harm that was done to them in a variety of ways. And yet the federal government continues to balk when it comes to apologizing to the Black community.
What would the apology mean to you and to other generations as well here in Canada?
It would mean a recognition of our status as Canadians. Are we subjects? Are we objects? Are we citizens? Do we have the same kinds of citizenship rights as other Canadians? Why this reluctance to apologize to Black people? And with not simply an apology, but to make that apology active in terms of having or giving a package. The package can be discussed, but giving this package with apology. We don't want empty apologies. How is the apology gonna be, made material? So some material, there has to be a material dimension to this apology. So it would mean a lot when we look at issues of criminal justice, some of the legacies of enslavement, issues of criminal justice, the seizure of Black children into child custody, the high dropout rate, the lack of economic advancement. We're looking for economic justice. And I say this knowing fully well and acknowledging that the Black community, through its own efforts over the course of these centuries, have resisted these degradations, have built communities, have educated their children. So, we are alive because of our own efforts. But at the same time, as the Black parents in across this country, in communities where they were segregated schooling, the Black parents said, we pay the school tax. We are taxpayers. Why are our children barred from the common schools and the public schools? So I'm saying the same thing today. We contribute to the economy in so many ways. We give of our intellectual capital, our physical capital. We give our brains, our talents, our labor. And why are Black people still excluded in certain ways from the benefits of society? And this is where governments can play a huge role. Last year, the government recognized Emancipation Day as a national event. Fantastic. Now let's see some action.